What is going on YouTube? My name is Bancroft. Thank you for tuning in. And today, well, Star Wars finally kind of put out all the leaders. I think it was like a couple days ago. I was kind of holding off until all the leaders were revealed so I could kind of go over the leaders and kind of give my input. So if you're interested in hearing this, stick around. Like always, there's buttons, links down below. Feel free to click them there for a reason. But we're going to start with one by one going through the leaders. And like I said, just do a little quick, do I like it? Do I not? What do I think of it? That stuff. And yeah, let's get into it. Gar Saxon. Each friendly upgraded union gets +1/+0. Very nice kind of overall blanket effect, especially for this set being more based around the idea of upgrades. So on the deploy side, each friendly upgraded union gets +1/+0 and gains when defeated. You may return an upgrade that was attached to this unit to the owner's hand, so it helps you cycle cards back. It's a 4/7, so when it hits the board, it's going to stay there for a bit. Like this a little bit. I'm not too big on the upgrade part yet, but I am intrigued by this. I do like the concept of this, and keep in mind, if correct, shield tokens and experience tokens are considered token upgrades. So if I recall correctly, that works towards this. Let me know what you think. Let me know in the comments if I'm wrong on that, but I do believe that works for this as well. So this is pretty cool. I like this a lot. Qi'ra. Action, 1 resource, you exhaust it, deal 2 damage to a friendly unit, then give them a shield token. Testing is what I'm going to say. I don't know how I feel about this. If you want it to keep a card alive that's, like a value card, sure. This may be coming handy for that, like later game, maybe not as much early game. On the deployed side, she's a 0/8 with grit, but when deployed, she heals damage from each unit, then deal damage to each unit equal to half of its remaining HP rounded down. So I don't know if I like that either, because let's say you have a fresh deployed unit who hasn't took any damage, but you want to deploy your leader. If you deploy your leader, say that unit has 4 health, right? You heal all damage when there's nothing there to heal, but then you deal damage to each unit equal to half its remaining HP. Well, if it had no damage, all of a sudden now it receives 2 damage. I really don't like this one as much. And I feel like this is something that you deploy this when you have a card that's about to die and you want to kind of give it some life back, or when you have nothing on the board to play, or you have nothing on the board to kind of take a effect from this. But having a 0/8 grit is not bad. I like Chewie a lot. I think that part's gonna be fun. I'm just really iffy on the when deployed side. Finn. Action, exhaust, defeat a friendly upgrade on a unit. If you do, give a shield token to that unit. I saw some 0-cost upgrades, some 1-cost upgrades. Maybe that will be beneficial to kind of go around that, but I feel like that's just like an extra step and it's giving you extra actions to do. And in the game, sometimes you want to go first instead of second and during a phase. So I don't know how I feel about this one. On the deploy side, on attack, it's pretty much the same thing. You may defeat a friendly upgrade on a unit. Unit. If you do, give a shield token to that unit. I just don't know how much I like that effect. He is a 5 deploy 4/6, which isn't bad at all. He has some like toughness to keep himself alive. But I guess depending on the upgrade, sure, it could be nice. But at the same time, I don't like this one either as much. And then I think for the last of the blues, we have Rey. Action, 1 resource, exhaust, give an experience token to a unit with 2 or less power. And on the deploy side, she's a 2/6 with restore 3. And then on attack, you may give an experience token to a unit with 2 or less power. At first, I was like, don't know how important this is going to be. And then I came across, looking through the cards, Moisture Farmer. Moisture Farmer is 1 resource to play. It's a 0/4 of restore 2. And I think this card goes great with Rey, because turn 1, you could play this, then use Rey's effect, make it a 1/5. Turn 2, make it a 2/6. Turn 3, make it a 3/7. And it has restore 2. So yeah, it will become a target. But I think cards like this make Rey really strong. And I think that's a really good idea. Yeah, of these 4 leaders, I think I would I'm kind of more excited for Rey. I think it goes Rey, Gar, Qi'ra, and Finn are kind of in the exact same category for me. So yeah, I think from blue, that's how I feel. I feel like it's Rey, Gar, then Qi'ra and Finn are in the same bracket, at least when it comes to my level of excitement of what I want to play. And like I said, in the comments below, let me know what leaders you're excited to play for next set as well. Moving over to the green leaders, we have Hondo Onaka. When you play a card using Smuggle, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, give it an experience token to the unit. And on the police side, we have Raid 1. And then also the exact same thing, when you play a unit using Smuggle, you may give it an experience token as well. He's a 3/7, 6 resources to play. It is green villainous, which means you have the ability to kind of do some ramping, which is kind of nice. I think one of the interesting cards that I saw for this coming out, it's a late game play, but if you were to play Privateer Crew using the Smuggle cost, which is a lot to do, it comes out on play. Normally it's a 2/2, but you'll gain 3 experience tokens for that, and then I think additional experience token for Hondo, making it like a 6/6 for 6 resources, which actually isn't bad at all. Especially something you can play from your resource. But outside that, from what we got reveals wise, there's not a whole lot of options. So I don't know really how, as of right now with the reveals, I don't know how well this leader is going to be until we get, I think, the rest of the reveals. I think right now, there's still a ton of cards that haven't been revealed yet when it comes to standard cards. But definitely this, I don't think this is going to be ability you're going to get early game. It might be more mid and late game stuff. Jabba the Hutt. Action. Exhaust, choose a unit for this phase. It gains bounty, and then bounty. The next unit you play this phase costs 1 less. This is really great playing against a deck that also, like, if you want to capture stuff, if you're about to defeat a unit, you just give your opponent's card's bounty and go, all right, cool, attack into it. It on defeat or capture, you get the effects. Then you can play something for 1 cost cheaper. I think that's really fun. And on the deployed side, when deployed, another friendly unit captures an enemy non-leader unit. So you use Jabba's on the undeployed side first, and then when he comes a unit, you use the deployed side to capture whatever it is you did, and you get that bounty. And then you can do it in action and give another card bounty that then will cost 2 less for you, which is kind of cool. I think Jabba is really fun. I think there's a lot of stuff going for Jabba that I'm excited for. Boba Fett. When you play a unit that has 1 or more keywords, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, give a friendly unit +1/+0 for this phase. And on the deploy side, it's just a floating effect for all your friendly units that has 1 or more keyword skills, gain +1/+0. It's a 4/7. It is a heroism card, but this is nice. This is kind of like just a basic, simple leader. I don't see any problems with this one. I think there's a lot of green hero cards that are going to benefit from this, and especially when you mix stuff up with other colors, you have other leaders, other units, even from set 1, who this can be really great with. Hunter is intriguing for me. So action, for 1 resource, exhaust, reveal a resource you control. If it shares a name with a friendly unique a friendly unique unit, return this resource to its owner's hand, and then you could just pretty much place the top card of your deck and play as a resource. I think this is really fun. He is a 7 resource to deploy. What I like about this card is that you can early turn resource stuff that isn't going to be important at all. And then when you play a unit that is unique, you get to reveal it, blah, blah, blah. You add it back to your hand, and then you get to ramp a card. Now, yeah, sometimes the card you add to your resource may be important, and that's unfortunate. But what my brain goes, I'm going to bring a card back just to resource next turn. Like, I've already resourced this card once. I don't think I need it. I just want to give me another card advantage, so that way I can put something else down there. Or if your card that you have on the board gets defeated, play it. On the deployed side, overwhelm, and then on attack, it does the exact same thing. It's a 5/8, so it's going to be a beefy card. I like this one. I like it a lot. A leader accidentally passed over, Moff Gideon, action exhaust. Attack with a unit that costs 3 or less. If it's attacking a unit, it gets +1/+0 for the attack. And then on the deployed side, he's a 3/6, 5 resources to deploy. Overwhelm, but each friendly unit that costs 3 or less gets +1/+0 and gains overwhelm while attacking an enemy unit. I think this is really cool. I think it's I don't want to say cheeky, but I think it's just to be kind of a fun, low cost deck that you just kind of spam with. Because it only looks for the cost being 3 or less. If you have other ways kind of beefing those cards up, making them stronger, this could go pretty well. And so of the 5 greens, I know I'm super excited for Jabba. For some reason, I'm really excited for Hunter as well. And I think from there, it falls down to Hondo, depending on what other reveals we get, Boba Fett, and Moff Gideon. I think those 3 are kind of like, I like everything from green, I feel like. I think For me, it's Boba Fett and it's Hunter for some reason, the top two. Not Boba Fett, sorry. Jabba the Hutt and Hunter. And then the other three are kind of like tied for third place pretty much. Moving on to red cards, we have Bosk. As an action exhaust, you deal 1 damage to a unit with bounty. You may give it +1/+0 to space. What's great about this is that you could choose one of your opponent's cards with bounty and choose not to give it a +1/+0, which is pretty funny. Or you could do it to one of your own cards, get a nice little buff on there, which is kind of nice. Then on the deploy side, so when you collect a bounty, you may collect that bounty again. Use this ability only once each round. What makes this really great is that some bounties are just draw 1 card. So if you get that bounty, you get to draw 2 cards. Kylo Ren. Kylo Ren's an interesting one. So as an action exhaust, you discard a card from your hand, give a unit +2/+0 for this phase. So obviously phase 3 and up, this is very beneficial. He's a turn 4 deploy leader, and he's a 5/4 on deploy. The only problem is that he gets a -1/-0 for each card in your hand. Hence why on the deploy side, you want to discard cards. He's also he's a 5/4 like I said earlier. And my brain goes, as soon as he gets deployed, depends on what you're playing against, he's either going to get exhausted, he's going to get defeated, he's going to get... I just feel like there's a lot of problems with this card, but at the same time, this leader and what red can do sometimes, it could just go. And as long as you get that 5 damage out there as fast as possible, I think it's going to be really great. Especially with upgrades and whatnot. For example, like Fallen Lightsaber. If you deploy Kylo Ren, and you're like, okay, and your opponent doesn't get rid of him, you can turn around, pay 3 resource, give him the Fallen Lightsaber, and now if he attacking you as a force unit, he gains on attack deal 1 damage to each ground unit, and it gets +3/+3. So he from that point is even better. Or even Vader's lightsaber. Granted, he won't get the deal 4 damage, but still +3/+1. Like, you can Voltron this card up with using upgrades to make it even stronger and be able to kind of like be a better leader in that aspect. I still think this leader is great, and they kind of like gas and go. Just I feel like it's going to fizzle very fast as a leader. Bo-Katan. As an action exhaust, if you attack with a Mandalorian unit this phase, you deal 1 damage to a unit. And then on the deployed side, she's a 4/7. It is 6 resources to play this one. But on attack, you may deal 1 damage to a unit. If you attack with another Mandalorian unit this phase, you may deal 1 damage to a unit. So you can initially do 2 damage to a unit with this leader, which is kind of nice. Han Solo. As an action, exhaust, play a unit from your hand. It costs 1 less, but you deal 2 damage to it. And on the deploy side, he's a 3/6, turn 5 deploy leader. Action, you play a unit from your hand. It costs 1 less, deal 2 damage to it. This at first seemed interesting. I'm still intrigued by it. But at the same time, I kind of don't know how much I'm going to like playing cards, especially early on, and dealing damage to it. And maybe that's not the strategy. Strategy is kind of like wait till mid game into late game to play cards cheaper to deal and then benefit off that pretty much. So when it comes to the red cards, definitely intrigued by Bosk a lot. And I think it falls down to, it's going to be weird, a tie between Han and Qi'ra, and then Bo-Katan is last for me when it comes to reds. Cad Bane. Going to yellows, we have Cad Bane. When you play an Underworld card, you may exhaust this leader. If you do, an opponent chooses a unit they control, deal 1 damage. I think this is really fun. It's a mechanic you're always going to get off at least once per turn, especially in a deck that's just Underworlds only. So I think it's fun. And then on the deploy side, it takes 6 resources to play him. He's a 2/8. He has raid 2, so he's doing 4 damage on attacks. But when you play an Underworld card, you may choose an opponent. They choose a unit they control, deal 2 damage to it. Only use his ability once each round. But ideally, if the cards work out in your favor, you can deal up to 3 damage to one of your opponent's units. And I think that's really fun. Cad Bane looks interesting. I'm excited for that. Dr. Aphra. I don't know where I stand on this leader. And I'm more leaning towards not liking this leader at all. When the regroup phase starts, you discard a card from your hand. She is deployed on with 5 resources. She's a 2/5. But my only concern of her is that is the discarding effect. And you discard cards to go into her deploy, which while there are 5 or more different cards among cards in your discard pile, she gains a +3/+0, which makes her a 5/5, which isn't bad. But when deployed, you choose 3 cards in your discard pile with different names. If you do, return one of them at random to your hand. So it's not even a guarantee the card you're pulling back to your hand is a card you want. Hopefully there's still 3 cards there that are like, yeah, I want these 3 cards. Because it's not choose up to 3, it's choose 3 cards and then return one at random to your hand. My only concern about this, like I mentioned earlier, is the discarding cards from your deck. I feel like you could hit a lot of cards that are very important without, if there was a better way, kind of, I think maybe knowing what cards you were discarding, sure, this would be great. But I personally don't like risking that, unfortunately. For the next leader, we have Fennec. I think that I might be mispronouncing that. But as an action, 1 resource, you play a unit that costs 4 or less from your hand, playing its cost, and you give it ambush. So pretty much any unit you want to play, you could pay 1 additional resource, exhaust this leader, and it gives it ambush. I think this is fun. I like this. I think paying 1 additional resource to give it an additional keyword is a good idea. Deploys at 5 resources. She's a 4/4 with Saboteur. But action, play a unit that costs 4 or less from your hand, paying the cost, give it ambush. So you now remove the additional 1 cost to it. And in later turns, if you deploy your leader at a different point in the game, you could possibly do this action multiple times because it's not limited to how many times you could do it. It doesn't say once per phase, doesn't say exhaust this leader for it. So, this isn't bad. In my opinion, it's not bad. Next, we have Lando. I remember when Lando first got revealed, I questioned its playability. Let's put it that way. So, as an action, exhaust, play a card using Smuggle. It costs 2 less. Defeat a resource you own and control. That's the part that I don't know if I like. So, it's 4 resources to deploy this leader. He's a 2/5. And then, just a standard action. Play a card using Smuggle. It costs 2 less. Defeat a resource you own and control. Use this ability only once each round. The idea that you have to remove your own resources is what hurts me. And he's also a heroism, whatever. So if you're playing a deck that doesn't actually ramp, this ability to me, it's like late game stuff. You don't want to use it early stuff because then you're not getting a momentum of going. Because like on the play side, like I said, it's an action to do it, but you need 4 resources to even play this leader. So like if you're using this action before you get to 4 resources, it can take you longer to get to an awakening. So unless the cards you're playing are very beneficial, I feel like this is just late game stuff. You don't even worry about this early stuff. And if you do this skill early, I think you'll eventually lose out on the curve and your opponent will outpace you. And the last yellow leader I want to go over is the Mandalorian, which when you play an upgrade, you may exhaust this unit leader. If you do, exhaust an enemy unit with 4 or less remaining HP. I think this is really fun, and especially in a deck that may benefit from the idea of just adding upgrades. On the deploy side, which does take for him turn 6 or 6 resources. He's a 4/7. But when you play an upgrade, you may exhaust an enemy unit with 6 or less HP. Mandalorian's gonna be a fun deck. It's yellow. Yellows have other cards that also exhaust cards, so it can be very fun, kind of just keeping your opponent kind of locked down. And yeah, that's it. Yeah, that's Mandalorian. I think in order when it comes to yellow, I will have to say I'm more excited for Cad Bane, I feel like, than in the other ones, followed up by Mandalorian. And then if I had to put the other 3 in some form of place, Fennec, and then the other 2 are just last for me. So those are the 18 leaders that came out. Like I said, this is just my opinion overall. And let me know down in the comments down below what you're super excited for next set. And are you even going to focus on new leaders? Or are you going to stick with older leaders and then taking in newer stuff to it? Let me know. That's about it. I'm rambling, so we're going to end it now. Bye.